All.com. Fergus O'Dowd is here with us. He's the chair of the Oireachtas committee, which the FAI will be before today. Just to clarify some stuff, you're welcome back, by the way.
Thank you very much. Good to be here, yeah.
Before the Sport Ireland guys were up before you. Does Sport Ireland need to come back before you guys today? Is that what happens?
No, the Sport Ireland come back next Tuesday.
Okay.
Next Tuesday afternoon. Sport Ireland and Minister Shane Ross are coming. We've already arranged that, see what the fallout from today is and where we go from there. So we're focused on getting outcomes and working with, obviously, the Minister in Sport Ireland and with the FAI if we can to get the outcome that everybody wants, is greater governance, transparency, accountability.
Let's have a quick recap. So last week you were in before Sport Ireland came in. Did that go as you anticipated? Well, the
point that you made to me last week was that people asked questions, they didn't make speeches. I think that worked well. It'll be the same today. Obviously, there's higher octane in the room today. We have 9 people coming from the FAI. But it's going to be the same, and obviously we've met as a committee, we've discussed the questions we can, the questions we can't ask, and we've gone through all of that. We're aware of the Supreme Court issues in relation to the mood or the tone of the meeting, the respect for the witnesses and the way that you question them. So we hope to be very professional and fair, and obviously in a way that will make people, give honest and open answers. That's what we want. Can
you just explain a little bit about that? Because I'd say a lot of people are kind of beginning to wake up to the importance of Oireachtas committees and how hamstrung they were by the vote that we collectively made. Whenever that was, a decade ago at this point, nearly. And so the Supreme Court at the moment are ruling about a previous issue.
That's right.
At the Oireachtas committees, which will limit your ability to broaden the scope.
Basically what happened was the Supreme Court found that the committee chair, it was a Public Accounts Committee, not my committee, I'm glad to say, didn't act properly and appropriately in fairness in terms of the questions that they asked, the way they asked the questions, the breaks they gave to the witnesses and all of that. So we're dealing with that. There will be a break every 2 hours. If witnesses want to stop at any stage, we certainly facilitate that. There will be a break for lunch, and there will be shown respect. There will be shown, obviously, fair questioning, robust questioning, but fair. And I think, it's not a court, it's not a star chamber, it's not going to be a talking shop either. So it's going to be a difficult enough day, but I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be good for democracy in action. And hopefully it'll be a positive outcome.
You've got great that he can look after a sport in this country as well, where football is basically on the line here in this country in terms of what happens here today, I think, to an extent.
Absolutely, yeah, it is. I mean, the key point is that all of the 2.9 million is aimed at young people, getting young people playing sports, giving them facilities, supporting them, upskilling them, looking after their mentors. That's all hugely important. That money stops it'll be August. The next tranche is due in August, so it will be from August the impact will be. The FAI are working with Sport Ireland as we speak. They will continue to support them to get governance changes, notwithstanding the fact that they won't be giving them any more money. But it's a big crisis. It's a very serious issue, and it's just the whole country are watching this.
Yeah, it's front and back page news now for a number of weeks. It's not just a couple of days. Was it Alistair Campbell said if one of your ministers is on the front page for 3 or 4 days, they have to go. That was his advice to Tony Blair, but no one's gone just yet. So we'll see what happens. Can I just to talk about the specifics of what's gone on over the last week? So Sport Ireland came in. They said then that they would be reluctant to stop the funding.
They did, yes, yeah.
In front of the committee.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
And then yesterday they stopped the funding. So something has happened in the meantime.
Yeah, they had a meeting on Friday. Sport Ireland met with the FAI on Friday, and they agreed at that meeting that they would be notice party to the terms of reference of the Mazars inquiry and the Grant Thornton and all of that. But then when the FAI gave us their opening statement, they said in that statement that they didn't follow the rules and the regulations in relation to the funding of the 100,000. So they had no choice but to stop the funding, I believe. I spoke to John Treacy yesterday, and he explained to me the background, and I fully support, and hopefully the committee will support his actions. It'll bring about change. It's a tough stand, but I think it needs to happen.
Because some of your committee colleagues were saying that they wished that perhaps they'd waited to do that until after the committee.
Yeah, well, that's a question of their timing, but like, I mean, they're entitled to do whatever they do. They had a meeting yesterday. Obviously, we would love for it didn't happen, but it has happened. So I think it focused the questions today.
Probably better that you know that it has happened rather than waiting till after.
Because we say, well, what are the changes now? Now, clearly, you know, Sport Ireland have no confidence in you, right? That's the first point. They didn't say that last week. So what are you going to change? What needs to change? And there'll be appropriate questions to be asked, I believe. Okay,
so the Mazars inquiry is happening. The Grant Thornton auditors have been on site.
9 days now.
Yeah, and so do we know if Grant Thornton have finished their process?
We don't know that. We can certainly ask them that.
And so if you're just wargaming this out, there's a potential the FAI come in and go, we can't comment on the 100 grand loan at the moment because Grant Thornton are currently going through our books, and we'll have that for you sometime in the future?
Yeah, well, the point is that today we'll have John Delaney in the room at this time who wrote the cheque. You'll have the board of the FAI who have accountability for governance about that cheque in the room. There's no reason why they shouldn't answer those questions. We can't compel them to. We can't force them to answer, but certainly the questions will be asked and repeatedly asked. We have to get to the bottom of this. That's what this meeting is about. That's our responsibility, notwithstanding the Grant Thornton and the Mazars. The fact is, you know, it's a simple matter.
Why did you write this cheque?
Why did you write the cheque? What governance, corporate governance was in place? Did the board know because we were told they all knew?
And then
now we know that they didn't all know. So they're appropriate questions. And I think what the people want out there, they want to have confidence in sport, confidence in the FAI. And to get that confidence restored, we need the answers today, I believe.
We talked a little bit about this in the past when you were in with us about the power of the committee is almost to shine a light rather than to make a pronouncement.
We can't make a judgment. No, we shine the light.
Do you have a report? Because one of the select committees in the House of Commons, when they did their investigation into British cycling, for example, at the end they do write a report where they say the evidence given to us here was credible, the evidence given to us here, we're still wondering about that. I guess with the Supreme Court stuff...
We can't make a judgment of what we can do and what we will do, and that's why we're having the meetings next week. And they came up with a meeting last week as well. You know, what needs to change to make sport more accountable? What do sport
so you can make recommendations.
Need to do? Of course, like we say, what do you need to do, guys? You know, you're not doing enough. You didn't act on this, you didn't act on that. I mean, there's not universal support for everything Sport Ireland did. Or, you know, I mean, they didn't do enough, basically. They didn't ask enough questions. And then what process needs to be there? Do they need more legal powers? How do you look at the governance of sport organisations? And the question, something I think is important, outside directors coming in who, you know, change on the board. All these issues, you know, I think they're very important because you guys have to have, you know, if I was a parent, I want my kids to be playing the sport I'm proud of.
Yeah.
An organisation I can stand under the flag any day.
Yeah.
And you can't do that today, can you?
Because
it's not the problem. They can't.
At various stages, there were fairly significant moves to force the sports organisations to change their boards, and at one stage there was even a quota suggested. I think it was it Brendan Griffin or was it before that even?
Yeah.
And it disappeared. You're like, this is a good idea. Just like, sometimes you've got to force change on organisations which are by their very nature difficult and unwieldy. But if you say you're not getting your funding from the government unless you do this...
Yeah, there is corporate governance. There is a report that they've signed up to, I think it's 2021. But I think just changes needed before then, to be honest. You know?
And I'm sorry, I'm not just having this about the FAI. I think the IRFU and the GAA definitely need to...
No, I know that. I mean, like you need constant change to have. I think the way it is, power should be diffused to an organisation. It shouldn't be held by one individual or one group of individuals. And it was held for 14, 15 years. It's not the way to do business.
I know FIFA is very wary of governments intervening in football bodies on the basis that, in some, I suppose, maybe for want of a better word, some third world countries that it can lead to corruption and that where the government gets involved. So that's one issue where the government is definitely wary of that and having too much of a role in the FAI's affairs. But we would definitely like to see, it's an old board, we would definitely like to see, I think from the Irish football family, we would definitely like to see a willingness from the board to change and to know that this is a lot more than one person. It's a lot more than John Delaney. The future of Irish football is at stake here, and I think today will shine a light on that. And I'm very interested in terms of not so much even John Delaney's response to things, but the other guys, what they'll say in terms of questions, because how unified they can be in terms of how fractured the statements have been, where they've contradicted each other in the last week or so.
Absolutely, and I think you're right. I mean, it's confidence you want, confidence restored. A new broom will sweep clean. Isn't that it? Isn't that the reality?
Can I ask you about Noel Rock? Because obviously there's the suggestion that he was texting about John Delaney about tickets, but there's also a suggestion which he denies that he would push back on Catherine Murphy's request to have the FAI before the committee. The tickets, okay, the tickets is an issue, and I think it speaks to I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good that somebody's asking for World Cup final tickets irrespective of whether or not they paid it.
Sure.
Whatever about the legalities.
If you hold a particular office, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
But I think
if I ask you for something and then you're going to be asking me questions in public about stuff,
no, absolutely.
I'm beholden to you, and it doesn't.
No, absolutely. I think if you have a register of TDs or other people, I don't mind, that's online, who got tickets. I think that would be transparent.
Yeah.
I don't think getting a ticket means that you're bought by the organisation you got it from, but you don't want to be compromised, and I think that's the key. And you have to hold your independence, particularly if you're a politician. You must be free to say what you believe, when you believe it, as you believe it, without fear or favour, and I think you do that by staying completely clear of all that stuff.
And you can let the public decide then if you think that the tickets
if they don't like you, they kick you out.
Exactly. But
which happens all the time.
The serious aspect about it was the kind of, I'll push back on Catherine Murphy's request to have, if that happens.
I've seen that comment. I think that's a question for Noel Rock. I can't answer that question. He can, and the FAI can. He's given his answer. But I've
just seen in the papers that he says he can't remember that text.
Yeah, well, look, with respect, you have to ask him that. But today, everybody is in there, has the right to ask questions. It won't be speechification. It'll be what are the facts. And obviously, it's not going to be an easy meeting. And clearly, Noel can answer that question to you. And I mean,
well, we will ask him because it's only fair. And
it is absolutely.
And it'll be interesting to see if those. But if somebody was saying that I would push back a request to have you before the committee on that, definitely far more serious.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is that I think I said it last week. I said it at the meeting that Catherine Murphy is to be lauded for campaigning for this. Last December, she wrote to me asking that this would be the fact, and it is the fact. We had 3 meetings set up and they never happened. Now it's happening, and I think that I'm looking at what she's said and what she's done and what we've done as a committee, and I'm not aware that Noel said anything at any meeting. Again, they're in public. It should be on camera if he did. The meetings are on television, so.
Yeah, Catherine definitely deserves to be lauded. She's been in some respects a lone voice for a while on this issue.
She has, absolutely.
What do you make of the suggestion to get the sponsors involved from Noel? That and money obviously talks. So if the sponsors were to pull the plug,
well, I think if there's ethics around sponsorship, particularly if you're a major company, you don't want to be associated with any organisation. Yeah. So governance is governance. Governance is being proactive. Governance is making sure not that you just cross the T's and dotted the I's, but you're proactively saying, is there an issue here? How do I prevent that happening? How do I make things work? So it's all about good. It's common sense. Good governance is good management. It's common sense. It's change. It's accountability. It's being open. It's being frank.
You mentioned accountability, though. That's what annoys me about this. I'm surely if there were accountability, heads would have rolled at this stage. That's what annoys me, that nobody has left. I mean, you've a loan that happened in 2017 that's only been revealed now, and nobody thinks this is a sackable offence for anyone.
And the other point is that, as I understand it, the FAI rulebook says at the AGM you can't ask a question. You have to give prior notice. I mean, where's accountability there?
Yeah, well, let's see what their answers are today, and then at least that's on the record. And here's the thing: you guys get the opportunity to put them on the record about stuff in a way that because the
journalists can't at the AGM.
The press.
I think you guys can.
Well, it tends to be stage managed, so access is limited. I think it's fair to say. It's an 8 hours today.
8 hours, yeah. And if we have to come back, we'll come back.
Right.
There'll be breaks every 2 hours. If a witness wishes a break at any time, we'll facilitate them. There'll be a lunch break as well, so it won't be all high-powered.
You can, of course, watch it online as well. And,
yes, it's online. It's on the Oireachtas TV.
I would suggest that people genuinely do watch it. You know, it's going to be quite entertaining actually for an Oireachtas committee, I think, as well. But it's certainly going to be enlightening.
It'll be at 10 o'clock. We'll be going public.
Nice one. Fergus, thanks very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
We had Darrell Horgan on the show last night talking about not being picked by Alex Neil at Preston and what went on there. Have a look.
I think he saw me more as kind of an out of the touchline winger, one-on-one with defenders, getting at them crosses, things like that, where I think he wanted lads kind of playing at them inside forward roles nearly, you know, and I think he thought he had players who were more suited to that, you know. He played Shawnee out there quite a bit, and Callum Robinson, you know, and there was just a few players who were ahead of me, and you know, he probably just, as he said, he just thought they were better players, and sometimes that's just the way it goes, you know, and not much you can do. You just get the head down, work away, but maybe sometimes he had his mind made up, and that was it, you know, and I've absolutely nothing against the guy.